Hi everybody, this is City Scrapper. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I have a layout that I made using the February My Creative Scrapbook limited edition kit. This month the kit features a gorgeous collection from Blue Fern Studios called Passages. When I saw this particular paper, I immediately thought that I wanted to do some stitching on it, and it took a little bit of time, but I'm really glad that I did. The colors that I chose are colors that are in the collection, and I just punched holes along each of those lines that represent the rays of the sun, and I just did a back stitch until I had covered all of those lines in embroidery thread. Now I am going in with some ephemera and also some pieces that I fussy cut out from a piece of pattern paper that was included in the kit. When I first started selecting photos to use with this collection, I chose some travel photos because this is a travel themed collection. When I looked at this particular paper with the rays of sun and I saw all of the hot air balloons that were included in this collection, I was thinking this would be a perfect collection to use for graduation as well. And since I have a number of graduation pictures on hand, I decided to use this particular one of my daughter. This was right after she graduated, right after she walked the stage. I wanted to put a lot of hot air balloons on this page, so I looked throughout the kit for as many hot air balloons as I could find. I found one image of a hot air balloon on, I think it was the card for either the journaling cards or the ephemera pack. You know, it was the card that comes in the plastic, and so I fussy cut that out, and that's the one that's very colorful on the right with the flowers on it. So now I'm mounting my photo. I mounted it first on some cardboard. I used the cardboard from the Prima flowers that were included in the kit because it was a nice shiny white. And then I also used a piece of blue paper behind that, and I inked the edges with some Holtz Distress Oxide in black soot. And now I'm going in with some adhesive foam and popping my photo up off of the background. I use some branding strips underneath the photo, and I'm going to include those fussy cut flowers on the left. I also put some adhesive foam on the back of the flowers because otherwise the whole piece would tilt. So I want it to be at the same height as the photo. So I'm just spreading around the ATG adhesive. I had a little trouble with my ATG gun and I had to edit that part out. I generally don't have too much trouble with my ATG gun, but every once in a while it gives me a little bit of trouble. I decided to put those flowers on a slight angle at the top of the photo. I'm inking the edges of these flowers with some more of that Holtz black soot ink. And I do ink the majority of the pieces that I put down on this layout. I'm going to be putting that large fussy cut piece in the bottom right corner. And I popped it up on some foam because I was thinking that that height would give me the opportunity to tuck a few more things underneath it, some more ephemera and some more fussy cut pieces. So I ink the edges and then I use my ATG adhesive, and that corner piece is in place. Right away, I start layering some fussy cut pieces underneath it. And I also chose this pink ticket and I layered that in there as well. I like the way the black soot looks on this particular collection because there's a lot of black accents on there. I took that hot air balloon, I had fussy cut that out, and then I didn't like it because the bottom was a very bright blue where the sky was supposed to be. The other hot air balloons, it's a very subtle blue, so it just kind of blends in. But that one was super bright blue, so I decided that I just wanted the top of it to show. And I like it tucked in there with all those other items. So I'm just popping up that one hot air balloon on the top there. The other one I'm just going to attach right to the paper. but I thought it would look nice if one was kind of receding into the background and one of them was popped up and looking like it's coming forward. And you could see I'm using the same process for all of these. I'm popping them up on foam, I'm inking the edges, and I'm using some ATG adhesive to hold them in place. The Journey chipboard and that Sun chipboard were included in the kit. And that little tiny hot air balloon that I just attached down, I fussy cut that out, and I was so worried I was going to lose it before I had the opportunity to attach it. So I wanted to get that position there and then glued down. And this is one of the parts that I enjoy the most. I love scattering the flowers around the layout and trying to decide where they should go. All of these flowers that were in the kit are Prima flowers, and I really liked how there were small, medium, and large flowers. There were some really teeny tiny ones and some larger ones, and I like the way that looks when the 3 different sizes are on the layout. Now I'm going to be painting the chipboard. I started by mixing some different paint colors together to paint the sun, and I'm going to use other colors to paint the title. But first I put some white gesso on both of these pieces. And in that way, the paint that I put down on it won't seep into the chipboard. So it's just kind of like a protective layer over the chipboard. And then once that dries, and it dries extremely quickly, you can put your paint over the top. So I use a lot of art anthology products for this particular project. They have all different kinds of paints and texture pastes, and so I mixed a bunch of them together, and I wanted to have a nice bright yellow sun. But I didn't want the color to be just flat, so after I painted the entire thing yellow, I took some white paint and I made the tips of the the rays on the sun. I made them a little bit lighter. And then I just started blending the white into the yellow. So I went back in with some yellow as well. And I feel like that just adds just a little something to the sun. After I have it painted, I paint the journey title. And for this, I'm using some green. And I also use some yellow mixed in with it. So I had it kind of the right tone. Not as bright as that kind of Kelly green that it was right out of the jar. And then I add a little bit of red in, and that just kind of dulls the color down. And whenever you take a paint and you add a little tiny bit of the complementary color in, it kind of dulls the color a little bit. And that was perfect because that's the color green that is in this collection. I didn't want to just have, again, a flat color. So then I went in with a little bit darker paint and I just dabbed it down. You can see I'm really dabbing and I'm not really brushing it. And I went in a couple of times and I really like the texture that gave to this piece of chipboard. The next thing that I did was I took the sun once it was dry and I took some modeling paste and this very, very tiny dot stencil. This is from Simple Stories. I got this at Tuesday Morning recently. And I just put a little bit of the modeling paste through the stencil just to give a little bit more detail to the sun. It doesn't make a big difference on its own, but all these little details added together just make the layouts more interesting, I think. So I'm using the palette knife to scrape some of the modeling paste that got along the edges, off of the edges. And now I'm going back in again with some white to make the edges of the rays more white. And now I'm going back in with some black and I'm just inking the edges of everything with some of the black soot, just so that everything looks uniform on the page since I inked everything else. I'm using that card, which is a card from one of the products, and I'm using that as the background for the title. And originally I was thinking that the title would look nice up in the upper right hand corner. And I saw this hot air balloon and I thought, oh, I'm going to add this one in as well. So I tucked that in over the photo And then I decided to move the title to the bottom of the picture, and I think it looks more balanced there. I came across some words, so I wanted to add those to the layout as well. And one says dream, one says explore. And I also found a teeny tiny little word that looks similar to these that says love. So I cut that out and I add that to the layout as well. And you could see that I inked the edges of these little sentiments too. Now this is where there's a little bit of a mystery in this video. I attached down the two larger sentiments and the little love card just disappeared. I don't know if you saw that. It just kind of fell off the table or something happened. But in any case, I could not find it anywhere. I looked all over for it. And I finally decided if I can't find it, it just won't be in the layout. I was looking high and low. It was really kind of irritating me a little bit. I do end up finding it. And there it is. I found it. It was kind of in a pile over to the right. I have no idea how it ended up there. It was in like a bunch of little scraps. So I, just like that hot air balloon, that little one that's there, I attached that right down so I would not lose track of it. I realized I had to pop up the chipboard title as well for the same reason that I popped up the flowers, because I wanted it to sit correctly on top of the photo. Whenever I add flowers to a layout, I always like to add some leaves in. I had these leaves already die cut out. I have a box full of leaves that I just keep handy, but I didn't want to leave them white, so I decided that I was going to take my paintbrush and paint all of these leaves with a little bit of green. I didn't want to totally cover them with the green. I wanted to leave some of the white showing, but I really like the way this green goes with all the other green that's on the layout. And then I just spread the leaves around. Off camera, I added some yellow flowers between those two hot air balloons on the upper right-hand corner. Those were also fussy cut out from one of the papers. I also added some photo corners, my probably favorite thing to add to most layouts, and a tiny little flower next to the title, that little pink flower. One thing that I forgot to mention is that I moved the position of the sun. I put it in the cluster on the left-hand side of the layout, and I thought that that made the layout look a little bit more balanced. I attached down all of the flowers and all of the leaves that I'm tucking in with some heavy-duty gel medium, and that completes my layout, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you will take a look on the My Creative Scrapbook website, and you can see all the beautiful kits that they have available there. I hope if you like this video, you'll give it a thumbs up, and I hope y'all consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much to all my current subscribers, and thank you to everybody who has watched my videos and liked them and left me such lovely comments. I'll see everybody again soon. Bye-bye.